you a little bit about himself and his experience and his organization, and then we'll turn it over to you guys to ask questions. So remember the Whittier core values, please, while we're having someone presenting.
Hi, my name is Rilwan Osman. I was born in Somalia in 1980s. I don't know my date of birth. So I left Somalia because of the civil war in my country, and came to the refugee camp in Kenya. I lived there for about 15 years, and I came to the United States in 2004 in Atlanta, Georgia. And I came to Maine in late 2006, around December. And since then I lived here in Maine. And going back to the refugee camps, the life in the refugee camps is totally different from the life here. And also the life here is also different from the life back home in Somalia. Because I was born in a small village where there were no hospitals, there were no electricity, there were no running water. The only water we were drinking was a river. And the only thing we or our family knew was only farming back home. And there were no schools, there were no hospitals, and all that in my village. So I was introduced to education or even going to school when I came to the refugee camps in 1992, 1993 after the Civil War. I was in 8th grade before I came here. We call it Standard 8. Back in the camps, and when I came to this country, I was too old to go to high school, and so I had to find a way to get my high school so that I can further my education. So I went to Limestone, Maine, a program called Job Cut. I don't know if you know, guys. It's a federally funded vocational program where you can do a lot of vocational trainings and also get your high school diploma. So I was there for about eight months in late 2006, 2007, and I came back to Lewiston to go to community college in Auburn. And when I came back from Job Corps and I came to my community, I've seen a lot of our youth dropping out of high school and also not making the right choices, and at that time, no one in our community was doing something for them, a positive thing for them, so that the high school dropout were to stop. So at that time, we didn't have a lot of high school. We didn't have in my community, the Somali Bantu community, we didn't have people graduating from high school. And that to me personally bothered me, and I said something has to be done for these kids. And I started meeting with the youth in our community, and one of the questions I asked was, what are some of the issues we're having and how can we solve? And the issues they raised was we don't have an after-school program. At that time there was no after-school program for them, and there was no sports program within the community that was helping them off the street at that time or empower them. So we created in this organization, and within the organizations, we created a program called Help or Little Program, whereby everyone will come with their homework. I come with my homework, and we come with yours. If you know my homework, you help me do, and if I know yours, I help you do. So that went for a period of time. And then for the sports program, we created a soccer program, because back home, that was the only sports we knew back home. And we created a soccer program for the youth, and the main goal for the sports program was to keep the youth off the street and also empower them and so that they can stay at school and at least to do some positive things within for themselves. So I started this organization, and we did a lot of programs for the youth, and we're currently doing a program for the parents, citizenship classes, and also ESL classes, which we call where they learn survival English, a day-to-day conversation with the English they might encounter at the shop, at the bank, and all that. So that's where the organization is. So when I came to this city, it was about December, and it was snowing, or the snowing season. season, and to me it was like, oh, this is going to be hell, because I've never seen a snow. I've never been to a weather like that, because in the refugee camps or even back home, the temperature was always hot and 100 and something, and it was like hard for me and also for my family to for the first few months to even adjust to the snow, but they are only kind of adapted and get along with everybody, and we settled, and we say this is home, and we are not going anywhere now. So that's kind of like overview of, I think, me, and I will just, since this is a big class, I will just let you ask questions.
Why was the SBYAM created?
To educate, empower the youth in our community, and that's the reason. Again, going back when I came back from job, but I've seen a lot of people wandering on the streets, doing drugs, and also dropping out of high school. And I said, these kids need someone to empower them, to educate them about the American culture, because they were taking the American culture in a negative way, because they were doing drugs and all that, and they think that was cool for them, and they needed someone to educate them about that, and also educate them about the education. But the reason that we formed the Help or Get Help program is for them to stay in high school, for them to feel empowered, so that they can at least finish high school and get a good education. So that's why.
I have a question. It says here that you get that you recruit volunteers from Bates College, high schools, and CMCC. So I was wondering, is it pretty hard to get volunteers?
That's one of the things. That's one of the reasons our organization becomes successful is volunteers. We have at least 10-15 volunteers just from Bates every semester who come and help for example, our parents' classes, and it is not hard to get volunteers from Bates, but it is hard to get volunteers from other places, but we have a lot of volunteers within from our community and also Bates College, and we also have people visiting from we had the school.
Excuse the interruption. Could Ms. Madsen and Ms. Shanning, A block, please report to Ms. Shanning's room? Ms. Madsen and Ms. Shanning, A block, report to Ms. Madsen. I mean Ms. Shanning.
So, we had schools sometimes come from Boston. We had high school students come from Boston and just come and visit and interact with the parents. So we had people from Bowdoin who come and just for 2 weeks with these parents and all that. So it is we have volunteers, but mostly from Bates College.
Do you like Lewiston?
I love Lewiston. Yeah, I like Lewiston a lot, and I didn't like the first few months, but now it's home for me. So, yeah.
Since you started the program, have you seen any kids and have you seen the problems improve?
Yeah, the program has improved in a way, but in a way, and also not improved in a way when it comes to the kids. And I just want to be honest with you, because it improved because we have the highest. We have a lot of our kids graduating from high school, and that is because of tireless work we and also other community members within our community are doing. And this year we have the highest graduation rates in our community. That's one of the improvement things. The other improvement thing is we have a great connection with the police officers, the local police officers, that we provide educational programs for the parents and also for the youth. That's huge progress in our community, and also the violence at that time when we started the program, there were a lot of violence in the community, and that has stopped. There is no violence, but the issues we're currently facing is people getting into the system, the juvenile system is what we're facing these days, and that is because of the communication between our kids, the youth, and also the parents is very low, because parents are adapting the American culture way faster than the parents. I mean, the children are adapting the American culture, and they speak the language, they understand the language, and the parents don't know anything about the language, don't know anything about the culture, and the kids are taking advantage of that, and they're saying that if you do something about me, you cannot touch me, because that's not how this country is, and that the parents are feeling threatened, and they're taking advantage of it, and some of the kids are just coming home late and all that. So that's why we partnered, or we work with the police officers to educate the parents about what they can and cannot do about when it comes to disciplining the children and all that. So.
Mr. Hoffman, do you mind telling the kids what the graduation rate was for the Somali youth when you arrived in Lewiston?
Yeah, 2007, when I came back from Job Corps, for example, in my community, the graduation, there was no high school graduates at that time, in 2007. And I started working for the school at that time, and that to me bothered me a lot, and because people were sitting in the ELL classes, that's what they call their ELL classes for many years or a year, and they were aging out. And when you're 20, you cannot be at school, they send you home. And I have been seeing a lot of youth who are heading that and saying that next year you're going to be aging out. Not saying next year you're going to be graduating, but next year you're going to be aging out. Next year you're going to be going to adult ed. And to me that was not what my expectation for my community. I wanted to see a lot of people graduating high school. I wanted to see and a lot of kids going to college. At that time there was not a lot of people going to college, even community college at that time. But now, this year, we had the highest graduation rate, and we had a lot of, most of the kids who are from high school are going from our community, are going to at least community college. Others are going outside of the states, outside of the cities to kind of go to college, and that's improvement.
Where did you first hear, without knowledge, there is no light?
That is,
Can you give me more context to the quote you're quoting?
It says, education is very important to me too, because in Somali we say, which means without knowledge is without light.
oh, without, yeah, that's a phrase not only the Bantu but everyone in Somalia uses. It's like without education is without light, and to me that's true, because if you don't have an education, you're in a dark room, you cannot see anything. And I see that with my mom, and I see that with my brothers who are older than me, who cannot read and write, because they don't see what I see. They don't sometimes understand what I understand, not because I'm young. I'm more going to school, but that is how it is, and that is how across even Somalis, if you are educated, you're more understandable and within the community. So without education, it's like you cannot help yourself, you cannot help your family, and you cannot help your relatives back home. So.
How do you guys you guys have the soccer going on, but after the soccer has ended, is there any other sports that you do?
No, we only do soccer during the summertime, and that's one of the challenges our organization within our community is having this. And the access to a field is one of the problems we have. We don't provide any programs during the winter because we don't have the place to provide. There are a lot of kids who want to do practice, who want to do soccer, who even want to do basketball, but we don't have the place to do those programs. So if the summer is over, that means we will see you next summer. So that's how we kind of do it right now.
Do you feel safe in Lewiston?
I feel very safe now than 5 years ago or 4 years ago. I say that because I have been called names many times when I go to shopping centers. I have been followed a lot by staff when I go to shopping centers. And I was not feeling safe at that time because there were times when I go to Walmart and when I'm speaking my language, a lot of people would say, speak English or go back to your country. And to me, that was not feeling safe for me. And there were times when I go to a shopping center when I'm buying clothes and the staff person will just follow me wherever I go, the shoe department, the clothing department, wherever I go. And that to me was threatening, and to me I was not feeling safe at that time. But these days it's like I don't see, even though it is still there, but it's way better than 4 or 5 years ago, and I feel safe now than 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
Have you ever experienced living in a refugee camp?
Yeah, I lived there for a long time, and the life there is very hard in the refugee camps, unless you have someone here in the United States. And the benefit to that is if you have someone in the United States and you live in the refugee camps, you are better than anyone in the refugee camps because they will consider you as a rich person, because if someone here sends you $50, that's like 3,000, and that's a lot of money. For example, in the refugee camps, livable Somalia, that's like a lot of hundred thousands in Somalia where you could live for a month. But the life in the camps was very difficult for me, for my family, and also for example, when the Somali Bantu community, because the Somali Bantu community started coming to the United States in 2003. That was the first people who came to even Western country, and before that we lived in a refugee camp, and the life was like you get few kilos of corn and 1 cup of oil for 15 days, and that was not enough for some families who have 10 kids or 6 kids and all that. And also there was no electric stoves to even cook something. You have to go to the forest and to get firewood. And that has its own risks too. Like you might be killed, you might be raped, you might be tortured, and all that. So it was when I was there, it was very difficult for to live in the refugee camps. So, yeah.
Do you miss Somalia at all?
I miss Somalia in a way because I still have my brothers, sisters, and also my uncles and aunts are still there, and they call me I think 3-4 times a week, and that has like some kind of connection with me because I'm talking to them every time they call me, and they tell me how the farms are, how the life is inside the southern part of the Somalia, and that's where this terrorist group Al-Shabaab is, and sometimes they just tell you how unsafe they are in that place, and despite that, but I still have that connection back there. So, yeah.
If Somalia was the way it was like in the 1940s, like nice coastline and it didn't have all the refugee camps, would you still want to live in it?
I would. I don't remember anything Somali where it was that 1940s, or even I don't remember anything when it was when there was no civil war, because I grew up when there was a civil war. So that's when I was when the civil war started, when I started growing up. So yeah, I would definitely go because that's where my parents are. I would definitely go and see there, but not now and maybe not tomorrow. But if it is safer and to go from there.
How long do you plan on keeping up the association for like helping the kids?
As long as I am alive, I think. As long as I can do, I have the energy to do, because the need is always growing. The need is always there. And when we started this program, we were only focusing on the youth. And it's when after a few years when we realized that we cannot educate these kids until we educate the parents. So that's why we are working with the parents. And it is a challenging to sit in a room with people. And in my culture, you cannot tell an elder person about something, because the elder than you, they should be smarter than you. And it is difficult I'm not young, but as a young person sitting with 40, 50 years old in a room and explaining to them this is what you should do, or what we should do, or this is how you should treat your child. It is a challenging, but sometimes we have to meet and we have to come and tell the parents you have to compromise. That's the only way this is going to work, because the kid is not going to come home if you are always yelling at him, if you're always telling him to do what you want him to do, not what he wants you to do. So we have to educate the parents, we have to educate the youth, and we have to talk to the kids too. Your parents cannot be an American parent. That's the reality, because this is not how they were raised. This is not where they were raised. And don't expect your parents to be with so-and-so's parents, because they never went to school. They don't understand even what you know. They don't understand the language and all that. So we have to do that. Otherwise, we cannot reach our goal of educating or making this youth successful.
Are you happy to be in America, or would you rather go to like a country like Pakistan or like other leading countries with that take in more refugees?
To help or to live there?
What was that?
Is it to help or to live there? You,
means to live.
to live.
To live there.
No, I would not go to another country and not live there, because to me here is where for example, here is where I feel safe. Here is where I'm a U.S. citizen. I became a U.S. citizen 2-3 years ago, and unless there is a peace in Somalia, I mean peace in Somalia, I don't even think of going to another country now, because I feel safe here than any other country.
Do you feel good for what you do in your community?
I feel good about what I do about my community, and because I believe I'm making a difference in my community, and I feel that, and that's what keeps me pushing. That keeps me what keeps me doing what I'm doing every day, and for this community. And for example, when for parent programs we have, whenever there is a parent who becomes a U.S. citizen, to say as thank you, they bring food for the whole class, and that's a way of saying thank you, and that makes not only me but everybody in the class feels proud and happy. Yeah, very proud.
I have another question. Has anyone ever told you that they inspire you?
There's a kid who's doing there's a one kid who's doing, I hear a lot of things from the kids, but not directly to me, but there's a kid who's currently doing, he's I think he's in high school, and he has been volunteering for our organization for almost a year, and that's what he tells me, and I said, but yeah.
Particularly one to make a change about where you live, what would it be?
One thing I can change in Lewiston or its surrounding area, even in Auburn, is I want to see more integration, more interaction with the local, with the people who lived there before, and unless we do that, then we will not be a safer community, and that's kind of like when I've been many meetings, many panels, and many organization meetings are talking about this one. What I want is I want to see the refugees, the immigrants, communities interacting with the other communities, not the service providers, because there are a lot of service providers in the Lewiston or surrounding areas that are working with the refugees. That's not what I'm looking. I'm looking for neighbors, this Somali neighbors, interacting with the white neighbor, this Somali neighbor, and going to this white neighbor. And that's what we like in our community, and that's what I want to see in our community, and that's what I would say a community who's working together to build something together. So.
I think you guys to keep in mind too, the purpose of the op-ed piece that you're going to be writing. And the question is, what impact has the Somali migration had on the city of Lewiston? So think about directing your questions specifically so you have some quotes that you can use in your writing.
How has the Somali immigration affected you, like after you moved here?
In Maine, the Somali migration in Maine, just going back the reason why people move, for example, Somalis move or move to Lewiston is we live by either by tribe, either by came from the same town or the same village, or we have the same ethnicity. For example, in Lewiston, if you go out, you will not find any Somali Bantu in Portland or any other city in Maine, except for Lewiston or Auburn. Why? Because they all want to be close to each other. They all want to support each other. When there is a death, someone else will not come and donate money to you. You have to, within your ethnic group, within your community, you have to donate money. You have to donate money for that funeral. If there is a wedding, there is a youth support. That's all. Those are the only two times we support each other. If there is a death and there is a wedding. If there is a death, there is a monthly. What we do is in our community, like not only the Bantu but also the other ethnic Somalis. Is like what we do is we collect money every month, and you have to pay that to be part of the community. You have to pay $50 or $30, and that's like across the board. You have to pay $50, and that's kind of a saving just in case something happens. Like if there is a death tomorrow. And the person who puts that money has the responsibility of giving money to the people who had the funeral, and that's kind of like a support system. There is a wedding, people come together and support each other. So, and that's one of the reasons why we kind of like live together. That's why we kind of close to each other. So, I don't know.
If it's not too much of a harsh question, could you answer that question for us?
What impact has the Somali migration had in the city of Lewiston? The negative, the negative, I will start with there were a lot of the negative was the plastic impact. The plastic impact I will start is I don't know if you guys know about Miss Water Street. There are a lot of cute Somali stores there. That street, people who live here told me that was empty before, and now everyone has a business there, and those places are rented, and that's kind of like an income coming to the city. That is a huge impact. Not I'm saying it, but that's what the people who live there are saying. And the other impact is for me personally, is seeing a lot of youth graduating from high school. That is a huge impact. And that is a change made in the school system in Lewiston. But the system they have now didn't exist in 2007 or 2008. They changed it a lot to kind of make what happened this year happen. And that is a huge impact in our community. And also there are a lot of organizations in Lewiston or surrounding cities who are doing something to change or to educate not only the refugees but also other communities, so that there is interaction. And we didn't have that one before. And that is a huge change. And in every school in Lewiston, there is one person who speaks Somali or who speaks a language, and that is a huge change. We didn't have that from 2007 or 2006, I think, because Because now if you go to middle school, there are at least 2 to 3 people who speak language. If a parent who speak the door, at least they will meet someone who speaks the language. If you go to middle school, the same thing. If you go to elementary, that is huge impact. That's huge change in our community and also Lewiston. There are a lot of people who are working, and there is I think the teacher's going to give you the top 10 myths. I don't know if many some of you read. These are the top 10 myths about Somalis and why they are wrong. And the first one is Somalis are draining the welfare of and that is a myth. And the answer is that you're all going to get a copy. The myth two is Somalis don't want to work. And that is not true. There are a lot of people in our community who are going to work. There are a lot of people who are driving 30, 20 minutes to go to LLB. There are a lot of people who are going to Kwanzaa Walmart to work. And that was a myth, and that's what people believe. Somalis don't want a language, and that is not that is a myth, and that's not true. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who are working hard. Even I've seen in our program, 60 years old mom coming to the class trying to learn a word when she goes to the bank, a word to say when she goes to shopping. So that shows you that how desperate they are to learn the language, even though they didn't have this opportunity back home as a child, but they're now trying to get that education right now. Somalis don't want to become a citizen. That is a myth too. In our program, we have the highest parents who become a citizens. We had people from Portland. We had people from around the cities who are coming to our program to just to become a U.S. citizen. We have over 300 parents who become a citizens in our program, and that is and the reason they become a citizens is because to be part of the voting system and all that. So the Somalis get free apartments, and that's also another myth. So you're all gonna get a copy of the of this, and you're gonna know the answer. And also there is statistics, there is numbers in there that you can find.
So something cool too is Mr. Osman has also written an op-ed piece. So you guys will be writing one, and he's an expert in that too.
Did anyone respect you or help you when you first moved to Lewiston?
Yeah, and that's that is kind of like that's how we do. Like if for example, in our community, if you're new to the company, the first thing you do is you move with someone. So for example, if I call you and tell you I want to move to Poland and I'm coming there next week, you will. Your responsibility as a community member is to come and pick me up from the airport or from the bus station and take me to your house until I get an apartment. And that's what happened to me. That we lived with other people who were here before until we get an apartment, until we moved to our family, and they helped us move. So that's part of the community, and that's kind of like natural thing.
When you got here, how much people came with you that you knew, like that you were going to your house or where you were going?
How many people did I know?
Yeah, or how much people went with you to your house or something?
When I came here, there were not a lot of people here like today, but. Not a lot, but some of them who were in the community, who knew me or who knew my mom or my family came to us and they say hi.
How many kids were like dropping out of school?
I don't have the numbers, but a lot of them, not just the dropping, most of them were aging out. Like they started high school when they were 17 or maybe 18, and they were sitting in the high school for until they're 20. And they were telling them when you're 20, you cannot be in high school, you have to leave. And most of them were aging out, and they didn't know what to do. Some of them were getting involved with drugs because they had nothing to do. They had no prior experience, work experience. They had no educational experience. There were a lot of things. So the only option they had was to just do what comes around them, and that was like drugs and violence and all that. So.
Do you believe that small Bantus are treated differently than ethnic Somalis in the Lewiston community?
Yes, yeah, and I'm a Bantu, just to let you know, and yes, it is there, but it is it's under the table, I would say. Just give you an example is the ethnic, you will not, it's rarely found an ethnic Somali marrying some Bantu boy, a Bantu man. That's very, very rare. And that's how it was back home, right? Because they were like, the Bantus were like the lowest class in the country, and no one was marrying them, and it's still here, even though we live in America, but it's still happening here under the table. And if a girl or a boy is trying to have a relationship with an ethnic Somali, she might not say something, but her parents are the ones who will say, no, you cannot be with him, no, she cannot be with you, kind of like that, because he's from that people. So yeah, it is happening now.
Do you from the Bantu community, do you guys get along with the other like Sudanese, the other like?
Yeah, for example, in this organization, we have in our soccer program, we have people from ethnic Somalis, from the Bantus, we have people from Sudan, we have people from Djibouti, we have people from Tanzania, we have people from this part of South America or something like that. So yeah, we have a lot of people in our soccer program. Also for our citizenship program, we have people from Djibouti, Sudan. We had parents from Congo. So it's kind of like mixed. So, but the majority is Somali Bantus. Yeah.
What first brought you to Lewiston?
The life in Atlanta was hard for me, and also for my family, because as I think I mentioned earlier that I've never seen tall buildings. I've never been to a big cities, and I just came from the refugee camps to Atlanta, Georgia, where it's a very big city with a lot of people, a lot of planes, a lot of cars. And to me, it was not safe, because there were times when we had about gunshots in our neighborhood. We had people being killed in our neighborhoods, and that's one of the reasons why we came to America, to be safe and to be free from gunshots and all that. And that was not. We felt that this is not. It's not a safe place. And what we do as a Somali general is like, when you want to move to some places, you call ahead of time. We call people we know who live there and ask them. We call many places. We call New York. We call here. We call Massachusetts. We call everywhere. But the reason why we came here is they say people will say that, oh, it's a small place. It's not like Atlanta. It's not like New York. It's not like Dallas, Texas, where many people came from too. It is a small place. It's a safer place. You don't hear any gunshots. So it's a good place to live and to raise here. So that's one of the reasons why I personally came, and maybe other people came for another reason.
You live in Lewiston. Do you guys get along with the other kind of people, like the white, black?
Not the kids, just to be honest with you, because in our programs, for example, the soccer program, last year we had over 300. We only had 2 white people in our soccer program. So, and for the school system, people get along. I worked for the school system for over 5 years, middle school, Lewiston Middle School, and the interaction within the students, and it's okay. Was okay, and that's different too. Like even within the Somali themselves, if you're new to this country, you're different from a Somali student who was born here. That student who was born here will see you as a refugee. He will not even welcome you, even if he's Somali or whatever, because he sees you as someone different. And But for the organization when it comes to, we work together with a lot of, almost every organization in Houston that are led by white people, and we kind of get along. But what we're having difficult as a community is interacting with not the service providers, but with the community themselves. That's what we're having problems with. And the problem is because of the language barrier. My mom lives here, another white neighbor lives here. They cannot communicate, and there is no way they can communicate because my mom doesn't speak language. So that's one of the reasons why all this barrier is coming up. But yeah, unless you speak the language, unless you understand the other person's culture or language, it's going to be hard for you for them to understand and to interact with them. So.
Have you heard about the ham sandwich incident?
What?
The ham sandwich incident?
At the middle school, he was talking about, so a white student put a ham sandwich onto a table for Somali students for swimming.
In Lewiston, Minnesota?
Lewiston.
No, I didn't hear about that. But there were a lot of, when I was there were a lot of things. I was in middle school for over 4 or 5 years, and a lot of things, there were times when even the prayer itself became a huge thing, and even it was in the article about praying in the school was a huge thing. But that time incident, maybe that was after me, and I left middle school in 2011, so.
Do children have to pray 5 times a day?
Yeah, they have to pray. That's kind of like the requirement as a Muslim. You have to pray 5 times a day, and that one falls on during the school day.
Yeah.
And 12:30, and depends on the time change, but 12:30, 1:30. So on that, and that was a huge challenge, and where the school system said we don't allow any religious practice within the school. So, but there was a lot of discussions, and finally they at least let them pray next to the cafeteria, something like that. So.
How do you feel about the letter that the mayor wrote?
2001. Yeah, I was not here at that time, but that letter had a lot of impact within the community, and I've seen a lot of people talked about that, and still talking about that. And every time something happens, for example, the comment made by the current mayor in Lewiston last year about on BBC saying leave your culture on the door, something like that. That was and that did a lot of demonstration within the community. People were kind of saying, oh, it's just like the other mayor who wrote a letter 2011. It's just like him. It's kind of like people are still relating whatever happened now to that one. So, but I was not even in the country at that time.
For Somalis, how many churches are like around?
Mosque?
Yeah, mosques. Yeah. This is there are 2 mosques now in Lewiston, and one was just opened last week in Bartlett Street. That's next to our organization, and the other one is on Listen Street. That's where they put the kid's head. I think that's 2 years ago, and there is a reason why. The reason why people have 2 mosques the mosque people just recently opened to a group of people, for example, the Bantu and other groups opened a new mosque because they didn't felt I would say welcome or safe in going to the other mosque, so they decided to open a new mosque. So that was just opened I think last week. So but there's another mosque on Lisbon Street which was there. It was on one of before the meeting. So.
Just curious, but you have to pray at a specific place?
No, you pray whenever the time. It's 1 o'clock, then you have to pray. So if it's you can pray outside. You can pray here, but like before, like not now, but like 100 years ago when there was specific. You were only supposed to pray mass, but now it's not like that. You can pray wherever the time comes. If it's prayer time, you can go outside. You can go here, but so yeah, you can pray anywhere.
So there's going to be no bell today because the high school is doing testing. So it is 11, it is time to go. Wait, hold on. I would like you guys to give a round of applause and thank you to